Mm-hmm. Yes, cheers. Very yummy. Yeah, we have a couple random readings. Good, thank you. Yes, listening with the third ear. A lot of requests for that one. So we'll go ahead and do that one. I love this book. Page 302. 301. Out of the mouths of babes. Good one. Thank you. Not everything the analyst labors to uncover is repressed material. The area of the unconscious reaches far beyond the sphere attributed to it by many psychoanalytic lectures. It includes material which is displaced, distorted, and disavowed. There are further events and emotions that were never conscious because they happened when the person was too young to grasp their meaning. They belong to the prehistoric period of the individual personality. We grown-ups are so far removed from the peculiar ways and forms of our childhood that they have become strange to us. Everybody has experiences of this sort. Our parents or old friends of the family have told us that as a small boy we said or did this or that odd thing. In most cases, we do not remember the statement or action. And even when we do, we can no longer discover why we acted or spoke like that. We cannot doubt the truth of the story, but we do not recognize ourselves in the picture it shows to us. We have to admit that we were this little boy or that little girl, but we cannot acknowledge any psychological identity with our past self. It has vanished like the snows of yesteryear. Well, that plays into sometimes people take things very personally, and they have every right to, and it doesn't make whatever a child or a drunk person said right or okay. But sometimes people do need to kind of buck up a little bit, as they say. Yeah, he's just drunk, that's all. Or, come on, it's just a kid type of thing. And then it turns into back and forth. And exactly. And that can expand or be dwindled down, however you want to apply it, as they say. Application theory. Memories of this order come up many times in psychoanalysis. They are conscious in that their content can be ascertained, but their meaning has been lost. This meaning was not repressed. It grew strange because a man cannot recover the thought processes peculiar to childhood. Loss of an old way of feeling or thinking can be observed already in children themselves. A little girl of 8 cannot believe that. Once, when she was 3, she had wanted to catch a snail and had been worried that the snail would run away. If, after some years, children cannot recognize themselves, how can we expect men and women to accept their psychological identity with an infant? The activities, joys, and griefs, the little games children sometimes remember, represent their true selves, but the self from the past seems foreign. They are astonished at themselves and cannot imagine what made them behave so oddly or say such funny things. The psychoanalyst frequently has a difficult time with memories of this kind, since no conscious effort on his part either can help him regain infantile ways of looking at the world. He would have to study children for a long time and with particular psychological skill in order to understand what his patients tell him about some episodes of their childhood days. Not longing for paradise lost, but his wish for psychological comprehension reminds him of the song by Brahms that goes, Oh, if I but knew the way back, the dear way back to childhood days. Oh, wist ik dachten weg zurek, den Leben weg zur Kenzeret. Sometimes we realize how remote we are from the child's ways of feeling and thinking when we hear the funny things children say. I do not mean the bright sayings, but remarks and comments that we call naive, which make us laugh because we are so charmed. I hear that a little girl on the beach complained about her playmate. Mother, Bobby should not take so much water out of the sea. The sea will become quite empty. The other day I saw a cartoon showing a painter seated before his canvas in a field. He is immersed in his work and pays no attention to the little farm girl who is an attentive observer. The child interrupts the silence suddenly. I have had the measles. The two instances, that of the little girl who is worried lest her playmate exhausts the sea, and that of the other child who wants to appear important and opens the conversation with interesting news that she once had the measles, represent a whole group of sayings that show how differently the world reflects itself in little heads. Sometimes, in the middle of psychoanalysis, memories occur that puzzle us because we cannot immediately understand what they mean, nor what they meant to the child, who 20 or 30 years later is now a patient in our consultation room. Sometimes it is easy enough to grasp their meaning. We have no difficulty in putting ourselves in the emotional world of the child because we find ourselves echoes of the same feeling when we dig deep down enough in our own memories. I believe everybody will hear an echo when I tell what a patient remembered from her childhood. When she was a very little girl, she sneaked from her bedroom into the dining room in the dark because she wanted to know how the furniture, the tables, the chairs, and the lamps behaved when they were alone, without people around. She was convinced that the room and the furniture would behave differently when they thought they were not being observed. The children's animistic conceptions of the world are further illustrated by another patient who remembered that he once asked his older brother whether the telegraph poles speak with the lampposts. We understand immediately that the hum of the wires suggested the question. Every psychoanalyst has met difficulties dealing with the childhood memories of patients who do not themselves understand the meaning of their recollections. A woman remembers, for example, that as a little girl, she once began to cry when her father let her into the elevator of a hotel in which the family, interrupting a journey, was to spend the night. Her recollection tells her that the elevator was much more spacious than any other she has seen since, and that there were plush benches along 3 sides. She is also sure that this was the first time she had ever been in an elevator. She clearly remembers that she was desperate when she entered it, and that her father tried in vain to console her and stop her tears. Although the recollection reoccurred several times during her analysis, we would not figure out why she had behaved so strangely at that moment. She denied being scared when the elevator began to move because she was already sobbing before that happened. We, the patient and I, were both puzzled until all at once it occurred to her that she must have thought that the spacious elevator was a room and that she, on this, her first visit to a hotel, would have to sleep in this room with her father. She had thought of the upholstered benches and couches. The memory was, of course, significant for the analytic understanding of the patient's relationship with her father. In other cases, the special meaning of a child's behavior or talk is not so easily grasped. There are times when no learning, no expenditure of conscious intellectual energy, and no hard thinking can penetrate to these lost ways of a child's emotional processes. There is no other path to this hidden area but unconscious identification with the patient as a child. A man remembered that as a boy he once behaved very strangely riding on a bus with his brother. A woman who had stepped down from the bus while it was in motion fell on the pavement without being seriously hurt. The little boy began to cry and protested desperately that he had not pushed the woman down. Actually, he had been standing at some distance from her so that it would have been impossible for him to attempt anything of the sort. There was no doubt that his memory of the incident was correct. The analytic interpretation of this childhood memory started from the assumption that in some way his emotions must have been appropriate. We learned later that at this time he had felt very hostile and aggressive toward his mother, who stood beside him in the bus. In a serious martial conflict between his parents, he had sided with his father. It seemed likely that his hostility against his mother had led to aggressive wishes, which reappeared when the accident on the bus occurred. His feelings toward his mother were displaced upon a stranger. The woman who was hurt was unconsciously thought of as a mother substitute. When she was hurt, he must have felt guilty, as if he were really responsible because he had entertained evil wishes against his mother. It was as if his wishes had become reality in the accident to the other woman. There are many instances that show grown-up people behaving similarly when a crime they have wished for is actually committed by others. I am choosing a relatively simple instance from my psychoanalytic practice in order to demonstrate that only a return to the thought world of the child can solve the puzzle of a memory that has become unintelligible to the person himself. A British patient remembered that as a small boy he had said something to his sister, 2 years older than he, that does not make sense to him now. He recalled the situation precisely. They stood at the window of their country house and it was early evening. They looked at the cows coming home along the village street. The little boy turned to his sister and asked, "Can you imagine Uncle Harry being a cow?" Well, that sounds silly enough, and the patient was inclined to dismiss the remembered sentence as one of the funny thoughts children frequently have. He remembered that his sister had roared with laughter and quoted him saying teasingly to him later on. I tried to convince him that the sentence must have made sense then. His associations seemed to lead him far away, to latter memories of Uncle Harry and Aunt Mabel, his wife, the other relatives, and to the contrast between life in the country and in London. The only fact that seemed to be worthy of consideration in these associations was that shortly afterward, Aunt Mabel had a baby. I guessed that something in the child's remark alluded to this event, perhaps to the pregnancy, which the little boy had noticed. But I still could not figure out what the sentence, "Can you imagine Uncle Henry being a cow?" meant. Nothing indicated that the boy had suspicions about Uncle Harry's lack of masculinity. On the contrary, this particular uncle came to be known as quite a philanderer. We did not arrive at a satisfactory solution of the puzzling memory that day. There was only the vague idea that the sentence might have something to do with Aunt Mabel's pregnancy. The recognition of its meaning occurred to me much later when the patient, on another occasion and in another context, mentioned that the cows sometimes behave strangely in the spring. They jump at each other's backs as if imitating the bull. Everything suddenly became clear. The children, the boy and his sister, must have spoken before about what the grown-ups do in sexual intercourse, and compared it with the playful sexual behavior of the cows. The question, can you imagine Uncle Harry being a cow, had thus the meaning, can you imagine Uncle Harry behaving like a cow jumping at another cow's back? Is therefore meant, can you imagine Uncle Harry in sexual intercourse? The children might at this time have noticed Aunt Mabel's pregnancy, and their thoughts turned to the sexual experiences of their relatives. The boy's question of a sexual nature is of a sexual nature. It makes sense now that we have translated it from the child's language into expressions familiar to us. The laughter of his sister, we understand now, was not only determined by the way the question was put. The girl laughed as an adult would at a sexual allusion that is comical. Oh, that was quite the... Yes. Good one. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes. Really good. Yes, hold on. I will show you. We are drinking. It is the Celsius. We got the strawberry coconut kind. Really good. So if you like the Celsius, I think it's about $20 to get, what is it, how many do you get? Is it a 12 pack? I think it's a 12 pack. So this you get 14 on the go packs for 12 bucks at Shaw's, is where I got it. I'm sure you can get it at Walmart or Hannaford. It was $11.99 at Shaw's. And I only used half a package in this whole thing, not even, barely half a package, and it's very flavorful and yummy. No sugar. It's really good. It tastes like pina colada. It has 50 milligrams of, well, mcg of chromium. Yeah, I'll show you. Right, so if you do it that way and split it up with a half of one, technically you're getting 28 of them for about half the price. Works out pretty good. I love it. It's really good. Definitely a winner. In 2005, vitamin industry entrepreneurs created Celsius. How does it work? It's a Meta Plus formula including green tea with EGCG, ginger, and guarana seed, turns on thermogenesis, a process that boosts your body's metabolic rate. No aspartame, no artificial colors, no high fructose corn syrup. There's only one carbohydrate. No fat, 10 calories. Awesome. Love it. Good, thank you. The other flavors, there was blueberry lemonade. Oh goodness, I can't remember now. There was a couple other flavors, I think. Coconut lime. A few others. There were 4 or 5 of these different flavors. I like this one. Strawberry coconut is very good. Yes, I can. Which one? Encyclopedia. This is the Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica, book number 22. It's a nice day. Page 356. The Franklin's Tale. I'll post this. This is a long. These are long poems. the Franklin's prologue and then the tale. Here beginneth the Franklin's tale. In old Armorica, 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 now Brittany. What's that? Is it kind of, some asked that, we were reading a lot of this one before. It's kind of pig Latin-y, yeah? A little bit. I'll try to read some of this one, hold on. These old Gentile Britons in days of diverse adventures made in lays, remembered in first Briton tongue, which lays with instruments they sung, or Ellis redden for pleasurance, and on of him have I in remembrance, which I shall send with goodwill as I can. By Sears, because I am a barrel man, and my beginning first I now beseech, have me excused of my rude speech. Namaste. What's that? Word of the day, how about virtue? It just came into my conscious field from somewhere. How about, give me another one. Analog, good one. Analog. Sure, I can post these. Good, thank you. You're welcome. We can read more of that one later. Sure, we got quite a few to get through actually for class. Yes. Dice roll. 4 dice. I'll roll as many as I want. 2, 3, 6, 6. 5, 11. 5, 12. Yes. It's a very nice day, isn't it? That would be nice. One can only hope and pray, you know? Deuces, much love, health, and peace. Yeah, I really hope so. No, time's on my side. I'm here whenever you want to talk about the facts and concerns. I have 4 children here. Nothing's changed. 3 are vaccine injured. My youngest 2, he had the abuse I can't even begin to describe. I try not to think about it. I know it sounds horrible and cold-hearted. We can't make ourselves sick over it. That's what they say whenever we mention any of the abuse, starvation, people's limbs being blown off. They tell us that stuff just happens and we got to deal with it, not make ourselves sick over it. So. Equality, I guess, whether that's our own children or others, we just got to accept it and appreciate what we have. Mm-hmm. That's a lot, isn't it? We had a lot to be thankful for here in America. A lot of places around the world. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. Namaste. Peace be with you. Totally crazy. Mm-hmm. Cool. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah, no matter how crazy, stupid we are, no matter what you think of us, doesn't change the facts and concerns and how disturbing this is. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are very disgusting, disturbed people, but yet they still deserve respect and safety and health care just like anyone else. Yeah, we're even saying with the sickos, we don't even expect you to smack them on the wrists or anything. But we don't think they should be allowed to keep the custody of young children who can't talk behind closed doors that they've been abusing. I would love for somebody to prove me wrong on that, but no one will talk to us about any of it if we even bring up anything to do with the vaccines or any of the horrible abuse and ignorance that's been going on here. Yeah, we're not allowed to. It's conspiracy theory, crazy. Yeah, they'll put us in a mental institution. It upsets Mother. Yeah, and the drug addicts. So. Anyways, much love, health, and peace all. We're here if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or would like to get real about the facts. Be nice. Oh, tears your heart out, you know? Oh, you gotta love it though, right? It's exhilarating. You just love the pain and the falling, right? So then you can get back up and feel good. It's like makeup. Yeah, isn't that great? Anyways, adios.